Okay, I'm back. We're in Romans, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 26 again. It says, "For this cause the Most High gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature," meaning women with women. Because a woman is supposed to be with a man. "And likewise," listen to what it says, "and likewise also the men, leaving a natural use of the woman, burning their lust one toward another, men with men." No, that's talking about homosexuality. Men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet, which was right. And even as they did not like to attain the Most High in their knowledge, they don't want to hear this, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind, good for nothing mind, to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness. See, being filled with all what is he talking about? He's talking about women with women and men with men, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness. All these different things are the qualities of those that do these things. Maliciousness, full of envy, murder, hating their brothers, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, breaking the laws of the Most High, saying we ain't under the law, without natural affection, men with women and women with men, implacable, unmerciful, who, listen at this closely, for all you that are joined unto them, who knowing this, the judgment of the Most High, which I gave to you in Leviticus 20 and 13, but man lie with mankind, if he sell a woman, both of them have committed abomination. They shall surely be put to death, their blood should be upon them. Leviticus 20 and 13, who knowing the judgment of the Most High, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Hear that? All you to have pleasure in them, with them, that's doing these things, is saying you deserve death too. That's why you can say, hey, I'm going to have fun with them. Hey, don't affect me. It do affect you. You heard what the Most High said. You heard the words of the Most High. So now, going back to Wisdom of Solomon, the 10th chapter, seeing how they think. No, the second chapter that we're reading from 10 on down. It says, verse 14, "He was made to reprove our thoughts." He was made to reprove our thoughts. "He is grievous unto us, even to behold." Talking about we the Hebrew Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel. "For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion." Because we talking about in operating and keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, his rules and regulations. You see, they talking about you ain't got to keep the laws of the Most High. "We are esteemed of him as counterfeits," bunch of phonies. "He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness." We just read about it. In Romans 25, 1, the first chapter, the 21st verse down. "He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed," and we will be blessed if we come back to the Most High's law, such commandments, and make of his boast that the Most High is his Father. So now, let's get those two things that was said right there. Deuteronomy 28, 1 and 2. Deuteronomy 28 and 1. "And it shall come to pass in the future, Yasharallah, if thou shalt hearken, to listen diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy power," just your power, yours a personal pronoun showing ownership. I don't care if it say thy, that mean your, "will set thee on high." How high? Above all nations of the earth. That's the kingdom. But we got to come back to his commandments, observe and do all his commandments, right? Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if thou, that's a condition, shall hearken, listen unto the voice of the Most High thy power. So that's the blessing. Now, what does it say for the other part? And maketh his boast. That's what you see it say. He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed. There it is. We're going to be blessed. Look, not only that, how much more can you be blessed than this? Daniel 7:18. It's right behind me. Daniel 7:18. But the saints of the Most High, who are the 12 tribes of Israel, when you read Psalms 148:14, but the saints of the Most High, who are the 12 tribes of Israel, shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Right? Verse 27. In the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom that's to come, under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Point blank. There it is. So yeah, that is blessed. That is a blessing. And they tell you, let me get some more. They tell you in Isaiah 60 and 10, it says, and the sons of strangers shall build up their walls. Meaning we don't have to build up no walls. Sons of strangers shall build up our walls. These other nations are going to build up our walls. They're going to be a remnant of all the nations. And as kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee. We just read about it. He told us he's going to give us to the worst of the heathen, most lawless enemies, and to an unjust king, and the most wicked in all the world. Ezekiel 7:24 and Song of Three Holy Children, verse 9. It says, in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on you, thee. In his favor he got mercy on the 12 tribes of Israel, the remnant, the 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel. You see, it's blessed. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. We're going to be the new IRS. Y'all? Yasharala? Israelites receiving services. What's going to say? Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night. Why? That men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. But a nation and kingdom that will not serve thee, they don't want to serve us, shall perish. Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Verse 14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee. Oh yeah, we call ourselves being blessed here in this. And all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Most High, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, as we just read, how they did us in the Willie Lynch letter until this day. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee. We don't have our banks and corporations as our enemies that we were sold to for breaking the Most High's laws have. So that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency. You see, our gates going to be open continually, that they may bring all the productive means of whatever they're producing to our gates. They're not going to the gates, but they're going to bring it to the gates. I will make thee an eternal excellency. Eternal meaning forever and ever and ever. A joy of many generations. Okay? Verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. That's blessed. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting. Hear what he said, the branch of his planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So it's powerful. A little one shall become 1,000. Hear that? A little one gonna become 1,000. So a big one gonna become 20,000. I mean, they say a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one, a strong nation. I, the Most High, will hasten it in his time. One more. Go to 2 Samuel 7 and 10. 2 Samuel 7 and 10. That's the kingdom. I think that sounds like a lot of blessings to me. 2 Samuel 7 and 10. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, and that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time. Okay? So we read about, it's pretty hard on y'all reading that Willie Lynch, famous Willie Lynch letter. It's pretty hard, boy. But it's got to be done. Going back to Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, their mindset, the wicked's mindset. Because look at verse 1, it says, for the unrighteous said, reasoning with themselves, but not of right. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man whom known to have returned from the grave, right? So you don't believe in myself, Shy rose on the 3rd day. Nevertheless, let's continue. In their mindset, it says, verse 16, that's where we precept about how the end of the just be blessed, and maketh his boast that the Most High is his father. So that's what we got to look at. Maketh his boast that the Most High is our father, right? Go to get Exodus 4:22. Exodus 4:22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus say the Most High, Israel is my son. So if we the Most High's son, wouldn't that make him our father? Even my firstborn. He said, Israel is my son, so that wouldn't that make him our father? Yes. So it says, going back to Wisdom of Solomon, 2nd chapter, see what they're saying. It says, verse 17, let us see, hear this clearly, let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the son of the Most High, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Hear that? They saying, if we're supposed to be righteous and keeping the law, statutes of the Most High, then the Most High going to deliver us from our enemies for the things that they plan on doing and have done and going to do. Let us examine him with despitefulness. No love in this. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness, his humility, and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Such things they did imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness have blinded them. As for the mysteries of the Most High, the secrets of the Most High, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discern a reward for blameless souls. That's what they did. We went over how they took the women that circumcised their babies in the Greek Empire and tied their babies to their breasts and drug them all around the street and then threw them over a wall to kill them. Let's look at something else. Let's look at another case scenario of what they've done and did. pretty, it's terrible. It's bad. Look at Deuteronomy 28 and 32. Remember, the Most High told us in verse 15, we're going to have to deal with these curses. So we're looking at, and I want you to tell me what people this applies to besides us. I'm saying it applies to us. But I want you to tell me that it applies to somebody else outside from us, another people. But the Jewish people claim to be the children of Israel. Let's see if it applies to them. For all these curses that befell us as a people. We the only ones can say this happened to. Deuteronomy 28 and 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Meaning they sold our sons and our daughters, they captured them and brought them into captivity. And we looking for our sons and daughters wailing. We had nothing that we could do to redeem them. And look what else they did to our sons and our daughters. Go to 2 Maccabees. Let's start at verse 6, chapter 6 and verse 18. I'm going to deal with the sons. But I'm going to deal with, show you things that they've done. Then we're going to go on to what the Most High said going to happen to us. And giving us to the worst of the heathen and to an unjust king and to the most lawless of all and the most wicked of all in all the world. So, 2 Maccabees 6 and 18. Eleazar, Salakia, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance. Remember, they're not going to regard a man of age or a child. Remember, the land told us that in Baruch, the 4th chapter. Well-favored countenance was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh, eat pig. When Leviticus 11th chapter, let's read that if that's right, so you know the scenario of why he's not going to eat it. Leviticus 11 and 7, I believe it is. Leviticus 11, just the dietary law in Leviticus 11 chapter. So I ask your church is keeping this. Leviticus 11 and 7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and is cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. That's the pig, the hog. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. Okay? So now, this is what, in the Greek Empire, they're compelling Eleazar to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. Eat the pig. Going back to 2 Maccabees, the 6th chapter, and verse 19. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment. It would torment him. Say, no, I ain't dealing with that. Spit on it and just kill me. He came to the torment, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. But they that had the charge of that wickedness, that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, like some lamb. We're going to give you some lamb. But they knew him. They said, no, man, we're going to give you some lamb. We'll replace the lamb, you know, so you ain't got to eat the hog, the swine, the pig, such as was lawful for him to use. Like that's what I say, you read the Leviticus 11th chapter, those are the dietary laws. You make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. This wicked Edomites, king, doing this to us. Like we read Willie Lynch. That's coming from 1400s on down. They were killing us. And he can't, that I think that was like 1700s, 1712. You see. So it's saying, verse 22, 2 Maccabees 6 chapter, and in so doing, he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor, because he was their friends. And they was trying to, you know, maintain his ability to still live. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age and the excellency of his ancient years, all the things that he had done in his life, being an elderly man, and in honor of his gray head, whereunto he was come, and his most honest education from a child of keeping the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, and learning our curriculum as an Israelite, Hebrew Israelite, or rather, the holy law made and given by the Most High that we just read in Leviticus 11 chapter verse 7 and 8. The holy law, that's the dietary law, made and given by the Most High, therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straight ways to send him to the grave, torment me to death. For it becometh not our age, he said he, in any wise to disassemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being fourscore years old, which is 80 years old, and 10, 90 years old, were now gone to a strange religion. Hear that? See, I don't want them to think all these years I done lived as a Hebrew Israelite righteous. I don't want them to think that I'm gone to a strange religion. And so they, through my hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me. And I get a stain of mine old age and make it abominable. Meaning they don't think that I ate the swine. That lived all this time, and you're gonna think just for me to live, he 90 years old, just for me to live a few days longer, or most I could kill him right there when he eat it. Well, they still could have tormented him to death. You say, nah, this is how serious we were about keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, when you pork chop eating preachers saying we not under. This us. And so they, through my hypocrisy and desire to live a little time in a moment longer, because that's all it could have been, 1 second longer, whatever, most I could have put him to death, no sooner he did it, should be deceived by me, you know? Deceived by me, and I get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable. But though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. Wherefore now, manfully changing this life, I will show myself such an one as mine age requireth. Look, I'm gonna read that again to you, because a lot of y'all think, oh, Most I know our heart. He know that I can eat what I want to eat. I can eat it. I don't have no choice but to eat it. You got choices to look at things and read things and make sure that you ain't putting abomination in your body. This is what it says. I'll show you. He said, verse 26, for though for the present time I shall be delivered from the punishment of men. By him, you know, if he switched up and they gave him some lamb instead of this hog. Yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. See, a lot of people don't believe. They don't fear the Most High. He said he ain't going to escape the hand of the Most High, alive or dead. If he live, he's still going to get him. If he die, he's going to have to deal with it. Let me show you something. Just for all you that think you can eat whatever you want to eat. And the Most High and the Mashiach was trying to say, we're going to abode in you, and you're going to feed them doo-doo, all things that eat doo-doo. Let me show you something. We're going to go to Isaiah the 66th chapter. This is when he come back with his fire. Because he ain't come back with no water no more. He come back with his fire and bring judgment on this earth. Let's start at verse 15. Isaiah 66:15. For all you think you can eat whatever you want to eat, and it don't matter, just for you. That's why he just said he going to get him whether he live or whether he die. Listen what he say. For behold, the Most High, while Mashiach Yahushua will come with fire. That's why he got the rainbow in the sky to remind himself he ain't going to flood the earth no more. He coming with fire. And with his chariots, his what they call UFOs, what they call flying saucers, what we call identified flying objects. The chariots are the angels of the Most High with a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword with a Most High plead with all flesh. This is destruction. And the slain of the Most High shall be many. Now it's going to tell you who. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst doing what? Eating swine's flesh. And the abomination. Anything that you read in that's unclean in Leviticus 11th chapter, you better understand. And the mouse. People eating the mouse. Raccoons and squirrels and mouse and possum, you name it, shall be consumed together, said the Most High. You hear that? Shall be consumed together, said the Most High. For by fire and by my sword, verse 16 says, will the Most High plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Most High shall be many. He said, they that are in the gardens behind one tree in the midst eating swine's flesh, eating the pig, and the abomination, anything that's unclean, and the mouse shall be consumed together. He gonna burn you up, said the Most High. Make it mean something different. It's what the Most High telling you. For I know their works and their thoughts. He know what you're thinking right now. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues and languages, and they shall come and see my glory. Understand, overstand that. So let's go back to Eleazar. It says, verse 28. No, verse 27. It says, wherefore now, manfully changing his life, I will show myself such an one as mine age requireth. He 90 years old. He said, hey, I'm showing myself as my age required, and leave a notable example to such as be young to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws that y'all say that we not under. He'd rather die than eat swine, flesh, hog. Y'all probably eat pork chops in the morning, pork chops in the afternoon, pork chops for your dinner, pork bacon, pork everything, pig feet, everything, hog maws, you name it. Ham hocks, and leave a noble example to such as be young and die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. You hear that? Did you hear that? die honorably for the honorable and holy laws of the Most High that he wrote with his finger, the work of the Most High. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him, changing the goodwill they bear him in a little before into hatred. The same one, that's what I say, that's why the scripture says, look, that's why the scripture says what it says, man. I mean, I love knowing the words of the Most High, the little that I do know, because he's telling us, man, he said, never, ever, ever, look, let me let it tell you. Remember, they was like, come on, man, these supposed to be his friends, right? Come on, man, eat the swine, man. Eat the swine, you know? Eat the swine. It's gonna be all right. Just go on and eat the swine, man. It's gonna be cool, man. Just eat the swine, man. It's gonna be all right. And no soon he refused, and they got to go in front of the torment, taking him to the torment. You see how it turned from their love toward him to hatred. That's why the Most High said in Ecclesiastes 12:10, he said, never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. You see how they changed that fast? Perfect example. Most High said, never trust thine enemy. But like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself, come on, man, we're going to give you some lamb. We're going to give you some lamb instead of the pig, man. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed, and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, see right through him. And thou shalt know that his rust, which is his wickedness, have not been altogether wiped away. You see? So now, what happened? They was all for him replacing the pig with something, but no soon he refused and say he going to the torment, verse 29. 2 Maccabees 6 chapter. They that led him, changing the goodwill they bear him a little before into hatred. You hear that? Into hatred. That fast. Because the foresaid speeches proceeded as they thought from a desperate mind. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Most High that has the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death and eating some lamb or some goat, something that we could eat, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things because I fear him. Fear the Most High. I'm afraid, I'm scared of the Most High, he said. I'm going to suffer these things that they're going to torment me with beating this 90-year-old man. This is what the so-called white man done. And thus, this man died, leaving his death for an example. That's why we're reading about him. Of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. Hallelujah to the Most High for allowing it to be here, to be heard. Oh, you think that's something? Let's continue. This is what the so-called white man did to us. Chapter 7, 2 Maccabees. This is the Greek Empire. It came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh. We read the law in Leviticus 11, chapter 7 and 8 verse. And were tormented with scourges and whips. But one of them that spake first said thus, what wouldst thou ask or learn of us? Excuse me. We are ready to die There's 7 sons and their mother. He said, we're ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. I wonder who would actually portray and deal with what we can already read about in this day and time. Y'all say keep the laws of the Most High. You got to keep the laws of the Most High. I wonder would anybody be willing to go through this. But one of them that spake first said of us, what wouldst thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die. There's 7 sons and a mother, rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. You heard what they said in the Willie Lynch letter. This before they came here to the shores of the Western Hemisphere and put us in captivity off our land and sell us back to Spain and sell us from Europe to Africa, Africa to America. Understand? Overstand. Then the king being in a rage, this wicked Antiochus Epiphanes that we read about previously, when Alexander the Greek set up his 4 generals. Then the king, being in a rage, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first, cut his tongue out, and to cut off the utmost parts of his body, the rest of his brethren and his mother looking on. Cut out his tongue and cut off the utmost parts of his body. Cut off his arms, cut off his legs, cut off, they cut off his shoulder. They always did that even in our slavery. Now when he was thus maimed and all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire. Still alive. Brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan. And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, the Most High power looked upon us, and in truth have come comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. So when the first was dead after this matter, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head, just scalping right here, when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, y'all talking about the Indians started scalping. They were doing this. When they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? And see, when they came here, they had trading posts, and they were bringing the dead indigenous men, people, I might say, aboriginal people that was here to the trading posts. And they said, we can't deal with this. Bringing too many bodies. It was killing too many of us. So now all you got to do is just take their scalp, put in your pouch, and bring those, and we'll pay you for those. You see? So they start scalping. Put them in their pouches and bringing them to the trading post to get paid for killing indigenous people that was here. Verse 7. So when the first was dead, after this matter, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? But he answered in his own language, the Hebrew, and said, no, la. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did. Now y'all think, look at all these things that they've done. You heard what Willie Lynch, this is after the fact. This is before the fact. Willie Lynch is after the fact. Verse 9. And when he was at his last gasp, he said, though like a fury taketh us out of this present life, but the King of the world shall raise us up, who have died for his laws. You hear this pork chop eating preacher? They died for his laws that you say we're not under. That's why you can get punished if you don't come back to the Most High's rules and regulations that he wrote with his finger in the work of the Most High unto everlasting life. You hear that? We read about it. We read about it earlier. Everlasting life. Saints shall take the kingdom, possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever and ever. That's everlasting life. That's what he's saying. After him, verse 10, after him was the third made a mocking stop. And when he was required, he put off his tongue. He put out his tongue, Salakia. Put his tongue out. And that right soon, holding forth his hands manfully. Put his tongue out and put his hands out. Remember, they chopping off hands and arms and so forth, and legs and so forth, and said courageously, these I had from heaven, and for his laws I despised them, and from him I hope to receive them again. And he's right. He's right. Look at say he hope to receive his hands again. Put them out. Say, take them out. Hopefully I'll get them. 2 Corinthians 5:1. For we know that if our earthly houses were of this tabernacle were dissolved, like you seeing them being tortured, tormented, limbs cut off, we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of the Most High, and house, a body, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For in this we groan, like you hear him groaning, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house or our body, which is from heaven. So now, going back to the torment that the Edomites put upon our people. This mother and her 7 sons. Verse 11, 2 Corinthians 6, and said courageously, these I had from heaven. Stuck out his tongue and his hands out. And for his laws I despised them. And from him I hope to receive them again. Like we just read. We must have a heavenly body for those that die for his laws, statute, commandments. Insomuch that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage. They were looking like, wow, this dude is ready to die. For that he nothing regarded the pains. For that he nothing regarded the pains. They cut off his hands. He wasn't hollering and screaming. Now when this man was dead also, they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, the fourth son, that the mom was watching all the sons being tormented to death by the wicked Edomite king, a so-called white man, King Antiochus. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good, being put to death by men, to look for hope from the Most High to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. Thou shalt have no resurrection to life. That's why you read in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Right here. Right here. It says Edom figures prominent in the prophetic scripture as a scene of great future judgments. He's the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from the Most High. Straight up. So, ain't a resurrection to life for them because Most I said, hey, right quick, we ain't got to go too far. Let's go to Obadiah 10, right after Amos. Obadiah is a book pertaining to the Edomites. Obadiah, I mean, you can't deny it from what you heard from the Willie Lynch letter that I read the whole thing and what we're looking at here. Obadiah 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Thus say the Most High. So, back to the mother and her 7 sons. That wicked King Antiochus is put to death. Same one we read about in 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, from the 9th verse on down. After Alexander died, set up them 4 generals to rule, and out of them came a wicked root. Antiochus Epiphanes, just who's doing this, having this done. Verse 13, we in 2 Maccabees, 6th chapter, in the Greek Empire, the so-called white man's empire, first empire, not the Roman Empire, not the time that Marshal Shai came. It's the Greeks. Now when this man was dead, verse 13, also they tormented and mangled the 4th in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good being put to death by men to look for hope from the Most High to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. That's why it says, Revelation 20 and 15. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. He tell him you have no means of resurrection to life. Salakia, hold on. Verse 15. Afterward they brought the 5th also and mangled him. The mother watching all 7 of her sons get tormented to death. Then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible, thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of the Most High, but abide a while, and behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. So he's going to torment you and your seed, who are the Edomites. After him also they brought the 6th, who being ready to die said, be not deceived without cause. For we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our power. Therefore marvelous things are done unto us. But think not thou that taketh in hand to strive against the Most High, that thou shalt escape unpunished. Don't think that you're going to escape unpunished, he said. But the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain within the spare of one day, she buried with a good courage, because of the hope that she had in the Most High. You hear that? She watched her 7 sons die by these Edomites with good courage as a woman, as the weaker vessel, because she had faith in the Most High. Yeah, she exhorted every one of them in her own language, Hebrew, filled with courageous spirits, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto them, she said, I cannot tell how ye came into my womb. For I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you. But doubtless the Creator of the world, who formed the generation of man, and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy, which is not getting something you do deserve, give you breath and life again. As ye now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. It keeps telling you this over and over again. The Lamb was talking to us. And every man, every one of her sons was still ready to die for the laws of the Most High that we read in Leviticus 11, chapter the 7th and the 8th verse. Not to eat any swine, any pig. But doubtless the Creator of the world, who formed the generation of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, as ye now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. Those same laws that you say we not under, that they dying for, not to defile their temple, and not give the Most High some crap. Because he said, I'm going to make my abode in you. And you giving him stuff to eat doo-doo. You are what you eat. Verse 24. Now, Antiochus, this wicked Edomite king, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, because remember, she's speaking in our language of Hebrew. But while she's speaking, and she's seeing each one of her sons being put to death, she's talking to them and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, a disgraceful speech against him, while the youngest was yet alive, did not only exhort him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and a happy man, if he would turn from the laws of his fathers. He would make him a rich and a happy man, if he would turn from the laws of his fathers. They ain't even got to do this to us now. They got us telling our people that we got to follow the laws of our fathers. I'm talking about you